let me introduce you to Ray, a very, very special man that, yeah, really did change everything for me. And it started back in 2022, 4 years ago now. And Ray and I were having a conversation, and we were talking about gentleness. And in that moment, he said something to me that will stay with me forever. He said that gentleness is mastery. And in that moment, gentleness shifted from being a personal value for me to knowing, deeply knowing its medicine and its importance to all of humanity. Ray, I'm so grateful for that conversation, and I'll carry it with me forever. And it's been very instrumental into all the work that we now do. So thank you.
You're very
Ray
welcome.
himself, thank you, is a martial arts expert. He's an artist and a teacher, and he offers online trainings dedicated to cultivating well-being and vitality through focused everyday practice. Ray's got a very rare ability that can reveal the strength within gentleness, not as some flip-flap idea, but as a way of really living it. And today, Ray will be sharing the role gentleness plays in healing, in self-cultivation, and how we can continue to strengthen and embody it in our own lives. So I'm deeply grateful to you, Ray, for being here today. I personally can't wait to hear from you, and I'm just so delighted and thrilled that you are closing the day for us today with such an important, powerful message. Thank you, Ray. I shall mute myself and hand it over to you.
Thank you, Helen, for that wonderful introduction. And I would like to start off by thanking you, Helen, and congratulating you on putting together such a wonderful day. Um, who would have thought that 4 years ago, uh, a few sincere words between two human beings would lead to a global day? So it just shows you that there's power deep within us and that we're unaware of and that we don't need to be aware of. So I want to be clear on that. So thank you, Helen, and congratulations on this wonderful day. So to begin, first off, hello from Hawaii. Great to see everybody. Welcome. I see some familiar faces, um, a lot of new faces, and I'm excited to share with you some things, some thoughts around gentleness. And during my conversation with Helen 4 years ago, when we did a private session together, what I said was gentleness is an indicator of mastery. And just a little bit of context, I am a martial artist, and that's who I am. And my offerings are focused and geared towards well-being and vitality. So you do not have to be a martial artist or interested in martial arts to benefit from my offerings. So I just want to clarify that. And today I'm going to talk about two things. I'm going to talk about gentleness as an indicator of mastery, as well as the power of gentleness, and gentleness being a very, very important healing agent, whether it be physical injuries or non-physical injuries. So this is what I will be covering today, and you're free to ask questions anytime or hold it to the end, but I do encourage that interaction. So to begin, to really connect with what I'm going to say, what I'm going to share is I'm going to ask you to think of a time when you were injured or not feeling well or ill. So for me, I've had many injuries in my lifetime. I've had back injuries. I've had a variety of lower extremity injuries, from knees and ankle injuries to where I can't walk. So I've had several debilitating injuries. I've also had, I've experienced illness. And so I want to invite you to recall an instance in your life where you have been injured or ill. And in this space, I want you to feel, and think about what was really needed in those moments. And so for me, what I'm recalling is a back injury. And at that point, I could not walk. I have a high pain tolerance, but with this injury, the pain was level 10. And so in these types of moments, gentleness is needed, very much needed. That's the way, that's the way to connect, not only to each other, but to ourselves. So this is one of the key things that about myself and my offerings is I really want things and encourage, like I facilitate things being very personal and very embodied. So for me, it's like I like taking concepts and pulling it in, and making it very, very, very personal. And it doesn't need to make sense to anybody else but yourself. So to go back to gentleness as a healing agent, it's like whether it's you that is injured or ill or not feeling well, or a loved one or a stranger. So whether it's yourself or someone else, gentleness is a way to connect, to sincerely connect. Now, I use the word sincerely very deliberately because um, this is an ingredient. I'm going to use that word. This is a very important ingredient in sharing, in connecting, in transmitting, in embodying, in manifesting, in all the things well and wonderful that are of this world. Sincerity transcends time, transcends space, transcends all things, all metrics of this three-dimensional world. Now, what is sincerity? Well, let's go here for a little bit because this can be very conceptual. Sincere is great, sincerity is great, but how do we do this? And so to use three-dimensional world metrics, we're going to use shapes. So my definition of sincerity is moving from your center towards the center of another thing. So this is very generic, where it's like we're not even bringing in feelings and thoughts or anything like that yet. It's like it's very there's a physical definition of this where the center of one shape moves from that space towards the center of another shape. That's it. And then that gets opened up very quickly. That becomes a rabbit hole of rabbit holes very quickly because it implies that you know your center. So it's like, and then this can be a gateway to a variety of cultivation paths. But ultimately, it's when ultimately sincerity is the magic of this world. And how this relates to gentleness is gentleness activates one end of a spectrum of the expression of sincerity. What do I mean by this? Okay, so I am a martial artist, and in my world, there's a lot of physicalities. There's punches, there's kicks, there's throws, there's locks, there's martial implements. There's a lot of contact, right? And to some, it may seem very violent, and it is, right? But like in my worlds, mastery, extreme mastery, self-mastery is demonstrated through the softest touch, through the gentlest touch. To be able to take a sword and split a hair. So just that imagery alone, it It does something, at least it does for me, because it's like you cannot power and muscle through splitting a hair. You need agency. You need to gather yourself. You need to be present. You need to be you. You need to know who you are. And once all that is achieved, then you need to express it in a way that is relevant to the things that are outside of your body, others, right? And so in to to have it leave martial arts and to expand the environment, gentleness, when you experience a gentle touch, a skillful gentle touch, you will have this feeling that there is so much behind that. And so this is where there's a spectrum to be calibrated, right? So to back up a little bit, maybe we should define gentleness. What does gentleness mean? Right? So according to Webster's dictionary, one of the definitions is free from harshness, sternness, and violence. Another definition is soft. The third definition is kind. Okay, so there is, when we talk about gentleness, one might ask, is there a difference between gentleness and kindness? And my short answer for that is, doesn't matter, irrelevant. We do not need to be spinning our wheels unnecessarily to have nuances of anything that's good, right? If you're confused, do them all. Be gentle and kind. Do it, right? So it's like understanding how to harness and express in a relevant way all that you are. And then there's a second part to that. Why are you doing that? I'm hoping that it would be for the highest good in your worlds. But then this is where I would go back to where it's like, if you genuinely cultivate yourself and sincerely express yourself, it's like there's nothing but good that can come out of that. I dare say that I would lean on that side. So gentleness as a healing agent. Let's go back to that. So I'm going to be jumping back and forth because gentleness as a healing agent and then gentleness as an indicator of mastery are really closely tied together, very closely. And so to make it very personal, so all of us have something to share and something to contribute to this world. Every single one of us does. Whether it's cultivated or not, we have something to share. So some of us might be on a cultivation path. Some of us might have cultivated a skill to a certain degree. Some of us may not be aware of what exactly we have to share. Wherever you are in this journey, my point being is that whatever it is that you have to share, my question to you, my inquiry to you is, how many different ways can you share that thing? And what does the spectrum look like? What is the most forceful and most crude way to share it? Because you need to know that. Because then this is where it's like, if all else fails and, it's like I'm clumsy and I'm tired and I'm injured and I'm all the things that are not conducive to vitality, but I'm still breathing and I'm still alive, I can still share this thing. And then that, as crude as it is an expression of sincerity. But then on the other end of the spectrum, you have all your faculties. You feel well, you feel supported, well and loved. You feel you are you. Now, how do you share the thing that you have to share? And what is the softest way you can share this? And when I say soft, it's not only in tone, it's also in volume, meaning mass, meaning like, do you need the whole ocean to share what you have? Or can you share what you have with one drop of water and have it be just as powerful? So then this brings me towards power, right? Because it is in the title of this talk after all, right? The power of gentleness. So what is power? Okay, so that word power brings up different things for different people. Some might think that power is strength. And then strength, what is strength? That could be like the ability to brunt something, the ability to express force, the ability to take on and move massive things. Yes, that's part of it, but power. So all strength is power, not all power is strength. I'm going to say that again. All strength has power, not all power has strength. So there is strength in softness. There's strength in vulnerability. There's strength in not having, or there's power in not having strength. Pardon me. There's power in softness. There's power in vulnerability. There is power in kindness. And that power does have a type of strength in it. So these are all semantics, but like I'm painting a very particular picture because power is requires choice, agency. And this is where we can go down the line of power can be abused, all that kind of stuff. And the answer is yes. So this thing that I'm touching on now is non-biased. It is a natural occurrence of this world. And so power, we all have power. We have the power to help others. We have the power to heal others and ourselves. We have the power to connect. And so power is linked directly to agency. Your choice determines the type of power you have. No one can choose this for you. You can choose to be as powerful or as powerless as you want. So the question now is, have you cultivated your ability to choose? Because everything about a human being requires cultivation. That is part of our design. We are what we spend the most time doing and what we surround ourselves with. There's portions of our being that are shaped like that. And so I'm painting all of this because gentleness, to bring it back to gentleness, gentleness can be the outward expression of all of these things that I have just said. And all of this can be expressed and shared through a word, a sound, a certain look, a certain touch, a certain posture, right? And so cultivation is required for us to be refined. So without cultivation, we're still going to exist and things will be fine. We can be happy, we can live our lives, but if we want to be refined and we want to achieve mastery and we really want to embody gentleness, cultivation is needed. And what do I mean by cultivation? This is a very powerful word to me and in my worlds. I use this word a lot. And cultivation is every facet of your being, is knowing as many facets of your being as possible, aligning all the facets, as many facets of your being as possible, moving with as many facets of your being as possible, all the time. There's no on and off switch for this. That's what I mean by cultivation. And you go far enough in the cultivation path, this is where you're gonna there's these questions, there's these inquiries that are very difficult to answer and reconcile. And that's part of it. One of which is, where do you end and another begins? There's a saying like everything is connected, we are all one, like that's a great concept, but like what does that continuum look like? So to really experience this, I'm going to share something with you and you can try it for yourself and ponder this. So mind you, there's no hard and fast answer for what I'm posing. Okay. So what you can try for yourself is think of an idea, any type of idea. It could be an invention. It doesn't have to be profound. Think of a thought, feel an emotion, one of those things, right? And just shape the idea inside you. So let's say I'm like, oh, I want to paint scenery, and it has a sunset and a unicorn and a race car, and all of them are interacting, and all of this is to express love. And I want to make it whimsical, but I want to make it uh, fun. I want to make it whimsical, but I want to make it deep as well. Right? So I'm shaping this inside myself. And then once you get to a certain point, I want you to share that idea. Share it with someone. And so you're going to describe it much like what I'm doing right now. I'm sharing it with all of you. And so this idea now is coming out through my physical body, through my voice, and it's going into this space, this air. And in this context, it's going through technology. And then it's exiting the speaker or earphones on your end, and then it's entering your ears, and then it's going inside you. So there's this invisible thing that started in me that went through all of that, and now it's inside you. So the visual that you have inside you may have started with me, but that's no longer mine. So at one point did it not become mine? And at what point did it become yours? This is through a cultivation path, you will come across these kinds of things and these kinds of inquiries, these kinds of conundrums that do not have a hard and fast answer. But in the constant exploration of this for an answer, you will gain so much insight into yourself, into your existence, into the things that you're a part of, and that it just keeps on going. And so gentleness is part of all of this because like this whole process can be expressed, like I said, through a soft touch, through a soft gaze, through a soft voice, through a soft posture. And in that softness, the power comes through because all of you is in those expressions, right? And you got to check the time because I know like once I get into this mode, like 5 hours goes by, right? So okay, I have a few more minutes. So the next thing that I want to share is and is about gentleness is actually an invitation to each of you. And I invite and encourage all of you to be kind and gentle to yourselves. Okay, what does that mean? It's like when you look back at all the previous versions of yourself, I'm sure there are previous versions of yourself that you're very proud of. And then there's other versions that maybe not so much. And this is where to all versions of yourself, be kind and be gentle. Now, how do we do this? So, some key elements to bring about gentleness in yourself. Number one, breathe deeply. Right? Breathing is the essence of our three-dimensional lives. So, breathe deeply. The next thing, move slowly. Slow down. So we can combine those two. Breathe deeply and slowly. If you need help, shameless promotion here. There on my website, there's 100 breath meditation where there's 6 seconds interval, 9-second intervals, and 12-second intervals, meaning 12 seconds in, 12 seconds out. If that's too much, go the other end. There's 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out. And it's free. So there it is. The third thing to bring about gentleness that I mentioned before is sincerity. So this one, though, this requires work. Like, how sincere is your sincerity? What kinds of things did you do to cultivate your sincerity? What kinds of things did you do to be you? And then, like, again, this is a very, very deep rabbit hole because we start we start unpacking all the components of our being, our physicalities, our thoughts, our emotions, our values, our beliefs, our worldviews. Where did all those come from? Are those really yours? Yes, you sure? What if I asked you what were the other choices you had? What were the worldviews that didn't make the cut before you chose that worldview? What were the values and beliefs that were on the table and you chose that? And then what were those other things? And so why didn't you choose those? Why did you choose this? Or this might be an ouch. Or did you inherit all your values and beliefs and your worldviews and everything? So it's like, I know it's just a little bit ruffling, but then there's a difference between inheriting a worldview, values, beliefs, and all of that, and going through this process of self-cultivation and arriving back at this space, but you chose it. It's completely different. And so to bring it back to gentleness, breathe deeply, move slowly, be sincere. These three things bring up gentleness. Now, to be gentle to ourselves. This exercise will help us to be gentle to others as well. So we start with ourselves, and we have to be sincere and honest with ourselves. So when we look back, and we don't really have to look far because we I'm sure there are times where we have cringe moments and like, oh, I wish I didn't do that, or oh, I made a mistake, or oh, whatever, whatever. And so looking at that, looking at that version of yourself, what does it look like to be kind and gentle to that version of yourself without having to change anything? So that's the key bit. Without having to change anything, what does being kind and gentle to this person from this moment, how does this version of you be kind and gentle to that version of you without changing anything, without saying, oh, I wish I changed this, because that's not kindness and gentleness, that's projection, right? So then we do when you embark on these kinds of inquiries and express kindness towards previous versions of yourself. The next step is for that previous version, do you need to know that that previous version is you to be kind and gentle towards it? So is your identity tied to that? And the reason why I bring that up is because currently there are expressions of previous versions of you that are in this moment that you're interacting with. And so if you can get to a space where you do not need to know that it is a previous version of you to be kind and gentle to it, then you start to see present things differently. And your ability to express gentleness and kindness to things that are now increases. Good luck. Enjoy.